gentlemen, welcome to Channel 23. This is a program called The Faces of Carlsbad, and we're sponsored by Baja Broadband, where you can get not only television, but the internet and telephone service all on one bill. Just tell them that my guest sent you. And my guest today is the famous Ken Nelson. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you for being here.
Well, before we get started, this is a show where I find out the background, going back to your grandparents, where they came from, where they were born, where you grew up. And before we even get involved in that, Ken, I want to say that I remember a couple of months ago, or weeks ago, or a year ago, I interviewed a lady by the name of Judith Nelson. Could that be your wife?
She's the better half of my life,
The
yes.
better half of your life?
Yeah.
Well, she was a wonderful person to interview. I wanted you to know that.
And she forced me to say that.
And she forced you to say that.
Yes,
Oh,
okay.
Well, tell us a little bit about your grandparents on both sides.
Well, my father's parents came over from Norway, and they settled in the Midwest, Iowa, Minnesota. And so most of my background is Scandinavian, Norwegian. My mother's side were from Denmark and Germany, and they settled also in the same north-central part of Iowa as did a lot of the other people that came over at that time.
Yeah. Have you been to Norway? Have you ever visited Norway?
No, I haven't. I've kicked myself for not going, but as I've gotten more mature, I've decided that's not a trip I want to take. I learned a lot about it from my uncle Torstein, because he came over from Norway when he was 21, and so I learned a little of the language from him and how to cheat at cribbage and things of that nature from Uncle Torstein.
Well, I've been to the southern part of Norway and up through the central part, and it's a beautiful, beautiful country.
I've seen pictures, and it is.
Oh, it's gorgeous. The only problem with Norway is November, December, and January. It gets pretty cold up there.
I've heard that, and that's why I love Carlsbad.
Yeah, you like this warmer weather, huh?
Exactly. My body suits, works a lot better here.
Yeah. So, your family then settled in the northern part of Iowa.
Right.
And where were you born?
I was born in Mason City, Iowa.
Mason City.
Mason City, it's known for Meredith Willson's Music Man,
That's right.
the 76 trombone song. And Mason City used to be called River City because it was built on the shores of two rivers. And so it became very famous when Meredith Willson produced that Broadway play.
Oh, yeah, and he did a terrific job in that.
They still have the parades every year for the...
That was a
music.
terrific film.
It was. It was very good. I love the music in it and the harmony of the sheriff, the barbershop people, so it's fun.
Well, Mason City, you know, when I was growing up in Ohio, I loved turning on my radio and checking different stations around the country. I could pick up WGN in Chicago and WXEL in Detroit, and I got Waterloo, Iowa. I would get that was the farthest west station my radio could pick up,
right?
Waterloo, Iowa,
Yeah.
and that's fairly close to Mason City, too.
It's about 90 miles.
90 miles
Yeah.
away, yeah. Waterloo and Cedar Falls.
Yep.
Yeah, my
The
gosh.
University of Northern Iowa is in
Yeah.
Cedar Falls.
Yeah, I'll be. So what brought you west?
Well, after I graduated from college, I decided I had had enough of Midwestern life and wanted to get out on my own.
Yeah.
And so my sister and brother-in-law lived in Albuquerque. And so they invited me to come out and spend some time with them. My sister didn't realize I'd spend 6 months with them. But so I came out here and started looking for a job and was hired by the University of New Mexico at their Bureau of Business and Economic Research. And so while I was here, I became engaged to Judith back in Iowa, and so I brought her out at Christmas and got engaged, and this was our honeymoon trip, was coming from Iowa to New Mexico. And so that's kind of how it got started.
So Judith was born in Iowa also?
Right. We're about 60 miles apart.
And where was she? What city?
Buffalo, I call it Buffalo Chips, but Buffalo Center, Iowa.
Buffalo Chips.
Yeah.
Well, that'll go over great when she sees this
yeah,
show.
I'll be paying.
You're going to get it that, I'll tell you, it's
I
going to be
will.
a tough day in the Nelson family.
Oh, well, I've been thrown out of better places, so. Yeah.
What university did you attend in Iowa?
Well, there was a junior college in Mason City. It was Mason City Junior College. A few years later, it was made into a community college. It was called North Iowa Area Community College. So I got my AA degree there, and then I transferred to a 4-year college up in Mankato, Minnesota, and at that time it was Mankato State College.
Yeah.
It's now a university.
Mankato State, yeah, I'm familiar with that. Watching these football scores from all over the country. Particularly in the Midwest, I like to watch these teams in the Midwest.
It's a way of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
Did you ever play sports when you were growing up?
Yes. I played some football, but I was never very good at it. I became very good at tennis.
Oh, you were?
And so that was mostly, and played softball. As I got in college, I played intramurals and things of that nature. A lot of city league softball, baseball, volleyball, and things of that nature. And that's why my body is in such bad shape now. Because tried to be a jock and wasn't. So.
Well, I remember when I was going to Northwestern University, our fraternity team would play intramural football. And I was the lightest and the shortest guy on the team, and they put me as a center. I said, this is ridiculous. I'm not a center.
Yeah.
But I survived anyway, but I never got over that. So when I went into the Army, I did just the opposite. I played quarterback for our Army team over in Japan, and I liked that.
It's probably safer.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have so many big guys over you.
Yeah, right.
Well, I never got any size till after I went into college.
I see.
I was fairly a small person, and now the love of a good woman, now you can see what happens.
She feeds you well.
Yes, she does. She does.
I heard she's a good cook.
She's an excellent cook.
Now, do you do any cooking yourself?
I do. I love doing stir fry and barbecuing and pretty much anything. So.
How are you with vegetables?
Well, it depends. I love barbecuing them. We found that the best way to eat vegetables is just to sear them on the grill, kind of like in a wok little basket, and you keep them crunchy but still maintain a lot of the vitamins and stuff like that. And it just tastes better than if you boiled them or steamed them on the oven.
Yeah. So now, you worked in Albuquerque, and then what brought you down here then?
Well, I retired in 2000, and then when you went around some of the towns in like Salt Lake City, Seattle, Denver, doing some contract work that I did for a company. And then we moved to Missouri, and one day we had 19 tornadoes touch down within 10 miles of us, and I looked at Judith and I said, I think we're leaving. And so we'd never really wanted to leave New Mexico, but career paths and such.
Right.
So a former neighbor of mine in Albuquerque, we had stayed in contact, and he had said, I've moved back to Carlsbad. This was where he had been born. And he says, I think you guys should check it out because I think it'd be a great place to retire. So we said, okay. Well, we came in and we spent 2 weeks with him. And we dearly fell in love with Carlsbad. I know that's not a very long time, but the people were so genuinely sincere about being interested in us, wanting us to come here. Plus, I was looking for a place where the weather wasn't going to be too terrible.
Yeah.
We'd still get the 4 seasons, but my joints wouldn't ache so much from the cold. And we've been here almost 5 years, and we haven't regretted a minute of it.
No, that's the way I felt when I first came here, but I've been here 55 years. And I just fell in love with it the minute I came here. Except I got off the train, as I said before, to a couple people, and air-conditioned train all the way from Akron, Ohio, to Chicago, and then we changed to Santa Fe and came down another air-conditioned train to Clovis, got on another train to Carlsbad in those days, and I got off. It was 106 degrees, and I thought, my goodness, what have I got myself into?
Your breath disappeared.
Oh, yes. But I fell in love with this state from the first time I came in.
I learned from the very beginning is that one of my mentors had said, give it a year, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And fortunately for me and my wife, we've loved it. It's when they say the land of enchantment, a lot of people make light of that, but it truly is an amazing state.
Yeah, it is.
It's got tremendous history. The geographical thing of it, that northern New Mexico is totally different than southern New Mexico,
Yeah.
and it's neat.
Well, after you got out of your retirement, you got involved in something else too, didn't you?
Well, it depends on what you're referring to, but I did a lot of things after I retired that I wanted to try. I worked on a horse ranch, I worked on a cattle ranch, I was a hunting camp cook.
Oh my gosh, for people who wanted to go hunting, huh?
Yeah, and I had a friend up in Springer that was an outfitter, and he needed a cook, and he knew I could cook, so I went up and worked several camps with him, and got to be in the outdoors, and got to eat some good elk, and so I've done a lot of different things since I've retired, and my previous career was corporate security, and so I did investigations, and I still keep my hand in that now and then, and work part-time for Denton Woods Funeral Home here in town, and so that just helps give us some additional money to have fun with and stuff like that. So,
well, I keep thinking about all the things that you said that you've done since retirement, but somebody told me you were only 39 years of age.
well, they were lying to you.
They were.
Yes, I am a mere 66 years old.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're
I'm not as seasoned as you.
That sounds like you're going to fry meat tonight or something.
Well, come on over. We'll see.
No, I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah.
Then you got involved in an organization called COPS. Tell us a little bit about COPS.
That was interesting. When I was out here, after I retired, I was around bugging my wife, and my wife said, well, I married you for better or for worse, but not for lunch. Get a hobby. And so I did. I found a hobby, but then I started looking outside, different things to do around the town.
Yeah.
There's so much that you can volunteer for or just go learn about. And one of the things that was issued in the paper was Carlsbad Police Citizens Academy.
Right.
And so I looked into that, and I've worked closely with law enforcement for 30-some years. So I was interested to just see what Carlsbad Police was like. So they had a long 15-week Citizens Academy, and it was just one night a week. But you would get to learn about each individual department and why the procedures were the way they were, why police officers had to do what they did. I got to be attacked by a police dog, which was, that'll stimulate you.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. And it was a very interesting time. Well, the class that I was in, all of us were really impressed by the people we'd met and talked to, and we really didn't want it to end. And one of the class members, his name is Paul Trone, he had heard of some people being interested in another state. They had a police academy. So they had formed a nonprofit to continue to support the police department.
You see.
And so a group of us went together and formulated a group, and it's the Carlsbad Police Citizens Police Academy alumni. And what we did is we formed a group, and we call it COPS, Citizens Offering Police Support. Mm-hmm. And basically what we do is that we go out and we do fundraisers, or We do volunteer work to do anything we can to help the police force. We're in the process of remodeling their firing range. We've had many donations. They've got new buildings. We're remodeling it and putting in classroom out there and firing stations. We provide so that they can have coffee and water all the time so that they don't have to pay for that. And we're looking for other things that we do. We were instrumental in the new vehicle that they use for their rapid response team.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Well, it came from back east,
Mhm.
and I can't remember the name of the group, but actually they take all the equipment that the government has purchased and used for whatever reason, most of it military,
Yeah.
and when it has come back and it can't be used by them anymore, they recommission them, and then they allow police forces to acquire them so that they can use them. And so when I was president of this group one year and they showed me what their SWAT vehicle was, and it looked like a bread wagon,
Yeah.
and it wasn't very impressive, plus it wouldn't work very often. So we did some research and were able to get free of charge this vehicle that they could use in these emergency situations. And we've had some comments from citizens that they thought that having a vehicle of this size and stature was leaning more towards a police state.
Mhm.
And because of all the bad newspaper coverage and stuff like this, especially in Albuquerque and stuff, a lot of people are concerned with that. But I think what I try to tell people now is I try to encourage them to attend one of those police academies,
Right.
because you get a totally different view of the police than if you're just a day-to-day citizen who reads things in the newspaper, and a lot of times half-truths, innuendos, and things of this nature. If you saw how many responses they had to go on where they have to face armed people, and this is in Carlsbad,
I know.
you would not resent them having a vehicle that they could be protected in.
Right.
And I've met a lot of these men and women, and they are truly dedicated people. As in any state, in any law enforcement thing, any business, you have people who probably aren't the cream of the crop and sometimes bring the bad name, but Carlsbad has a good group of people. And so I highly recommend that when you read about a police academy coming up, that you call the police department and ask them about it. See when it is. They have shortened it. I think it's only 6 to 7 weeks now.
I think so, yeah.
But it gives you a different perspective of it. And then after you've graduated from that, if you'd like to join our COPS group to assist, and we have raffles and we do cleanups and we do a lot of different things. And I think you'll see that it's a very good group to work with. And so that's been consuming some of my time, and it's very enjoyable.
I think I took that class with you.
Yeah, you did, and but I still got over it.
Yeah. Well, you know, my boss, Mr. Lutman, and I, we took the first class they offered down here.
Yeah, they were still using rocks.
Still using rocks
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bows and arrows.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but it was good that you kept up with it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, no, I tease you. But, no, I think if more people got involved in that, there'd be less doubts about what goes on. And then go on a ride-along with an officer.
Yeah.
And that will definitely open your eyes.
Well, I've taken, as you know, through the years, and I want to say something before I get back to bringing you up again. I've done 141 of those
Oh, is that right?
8-hour shift rides, and we've had routine rides, we've had funny situations that arose, and we've had some sad situations too. So people really don't know most of the people don't know what these officers go through.
That's right. And the stress on their families is unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
A wife has to worry almost every night, is he going to come home
Yeah.
all right, you know, and especially if you have children, you have to worry about taking good care of yourself. I want to mention the COPS organization again. I'm in there with you, but you and Paul Trone, as far as I'm concerned, and Mike and a few others have done such a remarkable job down there. I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you for that. It hasn't been hard to do because it's a good, worthwhile cause. We do need more people to get involved, and so that's why I made the approach to have people go to that police academy, because it's well worth going to, and you have fun.
Oh, absolutely. I remember that a while back, you and I were down there at the park, and we were selling tickets for
A raffle.
a raffle for a weapon, I think, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, and that was interesting.
yeah. No, we've raffled off guns because that's kind of the popular thing. But we also, in the last one, had a gun raffle and a freezer full of meat raffle, and that went over very popular
very
also.
good, yeah.
And in fact, you had your choice of first or second prize if your name was drawn first, and the people chose the meat over the gun, which surprised me.
Oh,
But
that's
in today-
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but it's just a way of helping out. And Courtesy Pawn with Sean Mitchell is very, very helpful with us. He is a stellar citizen of Carlsbad, and he does a lot to help out in any way he can. So it's been a good experience.
How many people do we have in there right now, would you estimate?
I would say we have probably active 15 to 20, and just like in our lives, we can't all be active and busy at the same time or available and stuff like that, but we meet just once a month, as you know.
Yeah.
Of course, you've missed the last 3.
No, I have not. I have made every one. No, I haven't. I missed the one
Yes,
in
you
June.
did. So did I. But and the meetings are brief and productive, and they get over with quickly, and so it's not you're not invoking a whole lot of your time to be involved. So.
And we have quite a few ladies in it too.
Yes, and some who are excellent marksmen, and so you don't give them a whole lot of the crap.
No, no. You have
No,
to
in
be-
fact, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 women involved there, and it's a good mix. It keeps us guys focused, because usually we're always dealing with the macho stuff, and they come up with some things that make us more sensitive.
Yeah. Well, what do you plan to do in the future?
I think I'm doing it.
This is it. Huh?
Yeah. I did my time, 30 years in corporate security, and I had the ability to, after I retired, they contracted me back to do security when the 2002 Olympics
Oh.
occurred in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
the Winter Olympics. I was contracted back to do telecommunications security. And so I was in charge of that, and I had 20 armed personnel to guard that. Because if you look at the Olympics, if you don't have telecommunications, you don't have the Olympics.
You're
Because
right.
they can't get the money in for showing the TV and the sports and all the things of that nature. So I did that I was in Salt Lake City for 9 months doing that prior to the Olympics in 2002. And unfortunately, that's when 9/11 occurred. And so I was in Salt Lake then, and it was pretty tense then. But it turned out that Salt Lake probably was the safest place in the world at that time because of the security that the U.S. had provided. So it was that was one of those life experiences.
You've worked with quite a few interesting people through the years. haven't you?
It's been interesting. Yeah, in the corporate role, from a security standpoint, I dealt with Dick Cheney, who was Secretary of Defense or Vice President also, but when he wasn't doing that, he was on our board of directors, and so I interacted with him quite a bit, and just a lot of other good people, not so good people, but it's been an interesting life.
Golly, you have gotten around with some interesting.
And so now that's why
situations.
I like Carlsbad, because now I can get as interested in as I want, or I can just sit back on the patio and read a book.
Is that how, Judith told me that you recently injured your back. Is that how you injured it, by sitting there reading a book?
No. And I saw her video, and at least she didn't critique me. Like I said, I played hard growing up, and so my body is not, I did not treat it as the temple I should have.
Ah.
And so every now and then I lift something or do something that I shouldn't have, and the back and shoulders and knees are the first to suffer. So I'm learning, if I'm going to live as long as you do, I'm going to have to start exercising and walking as much as you do.
Well, I told you before, if you're going to do, I don't eat meat, but if you're going to pick up meat, you're not supposed to pick up the whole animal. I've told you that and told you that, but you don't
Okay,
listen to me.
So evidently Judy said I picked up an elk.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said she tells people I picked up a dead elk, but the live ones are so hard to lift. So, but yeah, that was unfortunate, and it's just it's one of those men things.
I know.
And I am learning that I just can't do what I used to do, and so we'll just have to. She said the next time I hurt myself, she was going to put me down, but fortunately,
She's going to put you down, right?
yeah,
Oh,
fortunately she's
great.
forgiven me. So
She's forgiven you.
yeah, so it's good. So yeah, we've been married 43 years, so I don't. She didn't keep the warranty papers, so I think she's just going to have to deal with it.
Well, she's a nice lady, a
She
very
is.
pleasant lady to talk to, and every time I'm wandering around in your neighborhood feeding cats, she's always waving to me, and I'm always asking, how's Ken? And she said, well, I don't know, you'll have to see him.
Yeah. Well, between you and her, you've convinced me that I should be interviewed by you, so now I can write that off my bucket list.
You've got it made now.
I do.
Absolutely.
I do. So
Well, as a, the background in my family goes back to Dr. Scholl's Foot Products. But you do.
I never even knew that.
Yes, and I noticed that your shoes are in excellent shape.
Well, that's just because I polished them for today.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
You polished them. Well, all I can say, Ken, is that it's been a pleasure having you here.
Well, I've had
today.
fun, and it's been enjoyable.
And Judith probably said you're going to enjoy it, and you didn't believe her.
I'm skeptical,
Yeah, you were
especially when it comes to you and her.
That's right, because we always come up with something
There
great.
was something, and it's
By the way, you still have a dog, don't you, or two dogs?
yes. No, we just have one, Hannah Banana.
Hannah Banana.
Yep.
And I met Hannah a number of months
yes,
ago.
she
and
tried to lick you to death.
Oh, she's a little sweetheart.
Because Judy tolerates her. I just spoil her. So that's.
Men have a way with animals, don't
Well,
they?
see, Judy trained me. I don't think I should have to. That I need to put that burden on a dog.
No.
So I'm going to pay for that one too. But
Well, Ken, all I can say is I want to thank you for being our
well,
guest
my
today.
pleasure. You have a
and,
good life.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Channel 23 in our beautiful studio here, I want to say goodbye to all of you, and goodbye and good luck.
Amazing.